Welcome back to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but first let's hear from our podcast sponsors that make this all possible. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing for their support of the Educational AD Podcast. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You can learn more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you and your program by going to hometownticketing.com. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to thank Violet Defense for their support of the podcast. Violet Defense is dedicated to protecting our world from germs by bringing the power of UV disinfection to everyday spaces. Their patented technology enables them to harness the power of the sun to incorporate ultraviolet light into their products and your environments like never before. Whether you're ready to implement existing products, or if you'd like to explore researching and developing a custom deployment of their technology for your school, Violet Defense has the solutions and the experience you need. Go to violetdefense.com for more information about their great products. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive for their support. You know, it's becoming harder and harder to fund an athletic department these days, but Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year, while also creating excitement in the gym and the ultimate game day experience for your athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com for more information. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com and see what these fantastic products can do for you. We also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They provide a variety of interactive touchscreen video consoles and an extensive library of templates to make it easier than ever to recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. For ideas on how to showcase your school's diverse history along with your proudest moments, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Or to learn more and get started with your own digital Wall of Fame, call them at 614-981-3589, or you can email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to thank Huddle. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Over 180,000 teams, including some of the best in the world, are using Huddle to help their teams play better. Huddle is the complete performance platform. They have online tools, mobile and desktop apps, smart cameras, analytics, and a whole lot more. Huddle is also built for every level of play, from club and youth programs up through high school and college teams, and even professional organizations are using Huddle to help their teams play better. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes, a lot of their parents, and the coaches of the college and university teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. If you want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and your program and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. And we also want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack for sponsoring the Athletic Director's Toolbox segment of our podcast. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack also puts you in touch with the 95% of the parents and the student athletes who really love your program. And it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at sales@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Talk to the folks at Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack and let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We truly have a good friend on the show today, Sean Dowling. Sean is a certified master athletic administrator. He's the athletic director at Monroe Township High School in Monroe Township, New Jersey. Sean's very active at the state and the national level. That's kind of where we got connected a few years ago. And we're very excited to hear what's going on in his part of the country. Sean, welcome to the podcast.
Jake, thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
Okay. Well, as we discussed, you're still an active AD, very busy. So let's jump right to it. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So tell a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school and college, and kind of how your path has led you to your current position at Monroe Township.
Sure. Grew up in Oyster Bay, Long Island. Married a Jersey girl. It's been all uphill since then. And started my teaching career. I've been coaching before that, but started my teaching career in New Jersey because that's where all the jobs were. There were very little jobs on Long Island. So, started teaching at a very interesting path, very diverse background in education. Started Elizabeth High School. It's an inner city school up here, one of the largest, if not the largest in the state. And then my coaching kind of took me through to different other schools. Summit High School, I taught there. Did 1 year at Roxbury High School. Worked at the Morristown Baird School, which is a wonderful prep school up here where I coached ice hockey and lacrosse. And then from there, I became the athletic administrator at Madison High School, and then ended up here at Monroe Township High School. I have a pretty diverse coaching background, which I think helps me as an athletic administrator. Grew up my whole life playing ice hockey, was my number one sport. And then I just kept getting bigger and bigger, kind of burned out in ice hockey, and I started my football career. And I've coached football, ice hockey, lacrosse, and a little bit of basketball, certainly with my daughters in basketball through travel. And, if you had asked me back in 1994, 95, that I'd be all lacrosse and no football at one point, I would have thought you were crazy. But I ended up really, as a head coach in boys lacrosse, and I do some things on a state level for lacrosse, boys lacrosse tournament director for the NJSIAA. I schedule both our North boys and girls leagues, which is about a total of approximately 190 schools. I have to schedule their spring for them. So that's so here I am. That's the Reader's Digest version of my journey to our conversation here.
For our listeners, Sean is being very, very modest. He has a very, very impressive coaching career, coaching resume, and as well as an AD. Let's talk about that a little bit. That first AD job, we all had it. What were some of those challenges maybe of, making that transition from the head coach to being the AD? And what were some of the exciting things that happened in that first job?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest challenges, and remember, even now at Monroe, I've only been here a year, seems like 5 or 6, with some of the things I've been going through with the pandemic and everything. Excuse me. But, and at Monroe, I'm like a brand new experienced AD. So as a brand new AD at Madison, first it's learning the culture of Madison. I was fortunate to have them in the same conference, coaching against them in lacrosse, and then ice hockey, and having some friends, and being right in Morristown Baird is right next door to Madison as well. So had a familiarity there. Immersing myself in the culture, sitting back and just observing, trying not to say too much. I think sometimes less is better in that situation. I think my coaching resume helped me. And again, in a having a diverse coach, when I coached I've coached four different sports, and I can sit there with these coaches and I've had success, some sort of level of success in those sports, coaching wise, X's and O's. Really, I fortunate that I think my mindset of getting to know the kids, and I had the education-based athletic mindset as a coach before we started calling it education-based athletics, learning the core values, and that's really something that I wanted to transfer to my coaches, getting to know them, building that trust, which takes a while. Trust, you just don't get trust when you become an athletic administrator. Trust is earned both ways. And I inherited a wonderful coaching staff there. I inherited a wonderful coaching staff here at Monroe. And I'm very fortunate in both schools to have that happen. So.
You bring up just such a great point of, coming in, whether you're a brand new AD or an experienced AD that's coming into their first year at a job. That aspect of watching, observing, learning the culture. And sometimes that's a really challenging thing to do. You might see something, procedural thing that's being done that it's not the way you did it at your old school. And I think it's tempting sometimes to want to come in and tweak, but as you mentioned, sitting back and watching and getting to know people, building that trust, so very important.
So you're right. And I can think back to one of the first month or so, I was told I need to make a change with the football coach. And and to their credit, to the administration's credit at that time, I asked to, at least at the very least, go through a season and observe the football coach. At the end of the day, if you wanted me to move on and make a change, you do what your boss tells you to do, right? So, but I said, listen, I'd like to observe him. I came in to that job in January as well, so mid-year. So, hit the ground running with our winter sports here. So I got to know that coach. He's an excellent coach, a gentleman, really cared about the kids. At the end of the day, we decided to move on and part ways. But again, at least I got a chance to evaluate that coach for a full season and an off season as well. I will tell you that I had another coach, and about the first 2 or 3 weeks of observing that coach, I had my fingers and toes crossed, and let's get through the season without anything crazy happening. And we're fortunate. Very high maintenance, hands-on. And at the last day of the season, it was like, thank you, coach. Here's your paycheck. Good luck. We'll move in a different direction. And, so I had both types where it was like, wow. I didn't know what was going to happen next with that particular coach in sport.
Yeah, those are certainly challenges. You brought back memories for me. We had a young coach there, had a good heart, but just, struggled with some things. And, coach, you got to do this. Coach, this is what I want you to do. Coach, you need to do this. And none of those steps worked. And at the end of the day, we had to say goodbye. Those are always tough.
And it's tough for us because, I'm sorry, it's tough for us because we're not pro sport or college sports. It's got to be, usually it's got to be something pretty crazy to let a coach go mid-season. So, and again, that's not really the high school way, but we'll do it if we have to, because, in the best interest of our student athletes.
Absolutely. Because ultimately it does come down to us, it's, we're the athletic director. Okay. Great stuff. We're listening to Sean Dowling. Sean's a certified master athletic administrator, and he's the athletic director at Monroe Township High School in Monroe Township, New Jersey. We're going to be back with some more. Let's take a quick break. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank Huddle for their support of the Educational AD Podcast. Remember, at Huddle, We power sports. Over 180,000 teams are using Huddle to help elevate the play of their athletes and their teams using video and analytics. Huddle's the complete performance platform. They have online tools, mobile and desktop apps, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. Of course, there's analytics and a whole lot more. Huddle is also built for every level of play, from club and youth teams all the way through high school and college programs. And even the pros are using Huddle to help their teams and athletes play better. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes, a lot of their parents, and the coaches of the college and university teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. If you want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and your program and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We're back visiting with Sean Dowling, Certified Master Athletic Administrator from Madison Township in New Jersey. Sean, in our profession, we always talk about the importance of leadership and particularly mentorship. So I always ask our guests, who were the mentors that you had in your life? The expression I like to use is, I still hear those voices in my head. So do you have any voices that you still hear?
I sure do. I think it goes back to high school and the coaches I had. I had two that I just were fortunate enough to have as my coaches. Bob Scammell was a coach and was the athletic director at Oyster Bay High School. And he was such a wonderful guy. I had and Bob Rose was my head football coach. And I got a great opportunity to play for them and then ultimately coach with them at Oyster Bay High School in the beginning of my coaching journey. Bob, just being an athletic director is like, that's the coolest thing in the world. You're in charge of all the sports here?
Yeah.
I got to do that. That's what I want to do. So, and then I also wanted to coach. And so what better way than to be a educator? So I got on the math line in college and became a math teacher. Probably should have gotten on the phys ed line, but that's, we can't turn the clock back. But again, so those were guys that were instrumental. I was fortunate enough to receive an honor of Athletic Director of the Year in New Jersey. I brought them to the ceremony. It was important for me for me to thank them publicly in front of all my peers. So that was a special night for me and hopefully them. Fast forwarding to ADs, one of the best phone calls I ever got when I first became an athletic administrator was from John DeCola, who was the AD at Jefferson High School in our conference. And he called me up and said, "Hi, Sean, this is John. I'm going to be your mentor." And it was a wonderful call. And he was my go-to guy. And then I talk about the mentors that I had and the people that I've connected with through our profession on the local level. I think a guy, Bob Curcio, is a retired AD from Columbia High School. I coached for him lacrosse when he was the AD, and then worked with him. And when I was president of the Boys Lacrosse League, he was our treasurer, and he's a Hall of Fame Division I coach, a Division I official, and legendary New Jersey lacrosse coach. And then guys like Bill Edelman, and through my conference, Bob Rossi, who just got elected into the Hall of Fame and NIAAA Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Guys like that taking me under their wing is so important to me as I reflect as an athletic administrator. So those are people that jump right off the bat. Bob Hopek, if anybody who's been to a national doesn't know Bob Hopek, the best dresser in the country, best dressed AD in the country. Again, took me under his wing as well. I don't know why, just took a liking to me. And he's been a wonderful friend and mentor to me all my way through state and NIAAA as well.
And I just love to hear the stories. And you brought up a very good point about getting connected at your local level and the state level. So talk a little bit about that. How'd you get involved with your state association? I know you're very involved with NIAAA. You know, that's where you and I met, you know, through the cohort program. So we've got a lot of young listeners. So share that story so they can know how to get involved, starting with your state association.
Sure. So as a coach, I was a clinic rat. Okay. And so I went to as many clinics as I could. When I first got there, I was writing everything down and then looking at it and go, what the heck did I just write down? And now, now I've morphed into and learned, you get one or two tidbits that are really great out of a workshop. I just kept that rolling over as an athletic administrator. So when John called me, John was very active in our state association, the DAANJ. He brought me, I started going to our state conferences. I said, hey, I can doing some good things. Eventually, a year or two down the road, I started moderating and doing anything that they told me to do. It wasn't even they asked me to do. They told me to do something, I did it. And took on a role of, volunteerism in serving our conference as well. And from that, I started presenting at DAANJ workshops. And then they turned me on to the national workshop. And the first one I went to was in Dallas, and I haven't missed one yet. And I just can't get enough professional development. And then watching people there, and getting, going to all the workshops and discovering leadership training courses, 4 hours of professional development that actually have something to do with what I do as an athletic administrator. With all due respect to, do you really need the athletic director's opinion on, K through 5 test scores, state test scores? I'll give it to you, but I mean, that type of thing. So I just, it's whether it's a coach's clinic or an athletic, director's workshop or leadership training course. And then I was, then I found out, I become a certified athletic administrator. So I got that done. Then I got my CMAA. My CMAA project was how to form an athletic student athlete leadership council. So I was, and again, I was able to, propose it, implement it, assess it, and that was really my project. And then, so again, going through and just following just following my mentors and the people that I keep meeting. I can't get enough of professional development. We're lifelong learners, right? So I'll just keep going. Taken approximately 27 leadership training courses, taught a bunch on a local level, and that's been exciting for me. I had an initiative here in the state where started with my conference when I was president of the NJAC up north to get as many athletic administrators in our conference, CAA. So I started to offer core courses for everyone, and that morphed into other conferences as a model. So I was pretty proud of that initiative. And we'll start that up down here in the Greater Middlesex Conference as well. So.
Yeah, very, very cool stuff. You've also become involved at a leadership level with the newest aspect of the leadership training program, the cohort program. Briefly, share a little bit about your involvement with NIAAA's cohort program.
Yeah, where you and I first met. So, very fortunate to be a part of the first inaugural NIAAA cohort. People, Daryl Nance put that together, leaders teaching leaders, okay, mentoring leaders was awesome. We started with, I remember the first activity was, finding our strengths.
Yeah.
right? Our leadership strengths and sharing that. And then, the concept of, well, I got to work on my weaknesses, where I'm like, and then all of a sudden, just, listen, you and I, we listen to everybody talk and, and they all have their theories, and to just sit back and go, here, forget about your weaknesses. Continue to build on your strengths. Surround yourself with people who are better at your weaknesses than you are, and just, keep, playing to your strengths. I sat back, and something as simple as that, just hearing it in that situation, it was like, wow. I'm like, that's just like, and that was a big time game changer to me. And that's something that I shared with my coaches and even my fellow administrators, in throughout our district. You're not very good at that. So I don't know. Do you need to really worry about that too much? Play to your strengths. Do what you do best. And then we'll, if we need to work on the weaknesses, we certainly will find other ways to do so. And then after that, I became a mentor. Being a mentee, then I was a mentor. Again, that was a wonderful experience as well, working with athletic administrators from across the country. And, here I am mentoring these wonderful, successful athletic administrators. So it was, I think I learned more from them than I did mentoring them. So it's, so again, that is the wave of the future. I hope more and more cohorts get formed. I know there's talk of, urban cohorts, ADs and urban, all female athletic administrator cohorts, first, year 1 through 3 cohorts, 5 through 8, that type of thing. Those types of cohorts, it's sky's the limit for that. It's I'm very excited for everyone in the NIAAA for those.
Yeah, it is a really unique, learning situation. And, you mentioned, the new cohorts. I'm going to be helping put together the new middle school cohort, which is going to kick off December of 22 for next year. So very exciting stuff. And again, you and I, we were part of that inaugural cohort group. So we'll always have that. For our listeners, we're visiting with Sean Dowling. He's a certified master athletic administrator. He's a director of athletics at Monroe Township High School in Monroe Township, New Jersey. We're going to take another quick break, but we'll be back with some more. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive for their support of the podcast. It's becoming harder and harder to fund an athletic department these days, but Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year, while also creating excitement in the gym and the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com for more information. You've heard me say that we have a Sideline Interactive indoor score table in our gym, and it is fantastic. We use it for games, but we also use it for pep rallies. We use it for signing ceremonies. It's tremendously versatile, and their customer service is second to none. So check out sidelineinteractive.com for more information about these great products. Welcome back, everyone. Once again, we're visiting with Sean Dowling, Certified Master Athletic Administrator. Sean, one of the things we try to do with the podcast is this idea of sharing best practices. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What are some things that, you're doing right now at Monroe Township, or maybe you've done at your other schools, that you're particularly proud of? When you sit back, with equal parts pride and humility, you can say, boy, we really do a good job with this. Do you have anything you can share with us?
Sure do. So one of the things, one of the big things we do, we all do as athletic administrators, is promote good sportsmanship and recognizing our officials. One of the things that, we have an official shortage. I saw a statistic, the average age of an official right now is late 50s in some of our sports. Just recruiting our officials, taking care of our officials, making their experience when they come to Monroe Township is a positive one. Number one, they're going to want to come back and work for us as well. But so one of the things we do, and I don't know if we have this, we give our official, every official that comes here now, we give a little welcome package. And it's a bottle of water, little power bar, and maybe some candy. But the really cool thing about this is, and it says, thank you for providing a safe, enjoyable playing environment for our athletes, Monroe Township Falcon Athletics, we're the Falcons. But the really cool thing about this is, these are put together by our unified athletes. So our special needs kids. So on the back, it says, this one is made especially for you by Anthony, who is one of our unified students. So just, again, very simple. It's great for our unified athletes to be able to put this together, take pride in that. Welcome our officials as well. We have our, and so that's just something, a shared best practice that we do here that really, I think the feedback is, first it was, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. First it was, they got this, oh, thanks for the bottle of water. I'm like, no, you don't understand. This was made by one of our unified athletes. Thank you very much. And then we make sure their experience here is as great as possible. I'm still trying to reculture our fans to understand that we can't play without them. So, I've gone to parents and students like, well, why don't you ask nicely? Maybe he'll change his call. And then they'll be like, no, they won't. I'm like, yeah, that's right. So why would you ever scream at him to change? He's not going to change his call regardless. And so that type of thing, reculturing, it's a process. Like I said, I've only been here about a year. So, and we're getting there. So, and the interesting thing about that, Jake, is that we didn't have fans for a year, coming back, it's just have to re-teach how to cheer, and be appropriate, and that type of thing at the high school level. So it's been pretty positive, but that little thing of sharing with welcoming your officials, I think goes a long way. Now we got some guys going, hey, where's my bottle of water? Okay. So it's worked out real well for us.
Such a great idea. And that, sportsmanship was always a big thing for me as an AD. And I'm still, a high school and for track and field, a college official as well. Those things mean a lot. There's in a football game, in a basketball game, how many 50-50 calls are there? And it's not why you do it as an AD. You're not giving them a water bottle, but officials are human. Okay. If that water bottle or candy bar or just that, hey, thanks for coming. If that changes that 50-50 to 51-49, hey, you're coming out ahead. And again, that's not why you do it. It's just right. a nice consequence of doing the right thing.
So, and we have assigners here, which thank goodness we have assigners here. So they post the assignments and then officials go in and accept assignments. So when you have 20 games to choose from, and Monroe Township High School is one of them, maybe at the end of the day, well, you know what? It's a good place, Monroe. I enjoy going and officiating there. And so now I don't have to ever worry about getting a call going, hey, Sean, you got to move your game because I can't get officials, which happens very, very rarely. But, in certain sports it does. And we have to work hard. What is our responsibility for retaining, recruiting officials, and as athletic administrators? And I'm doing my small little piece, of it here.
No, I love it. No, I'm stealing it for one of my AD presentations on sportsmanship. Just another great idea on what to do.
Jake, we never steal. We adopt and we modify.
There we go.
We never steal anything.
Okay. I appreciate that wordsmithing there. Sean, we're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit more, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you?
Certainly by email. It's my first name dot. It's SEAN dot Dowling, DOWLING at Monroe.K12.NJ.US. And if you're a member of the NIAAA, you can certainly email me through our forum or whatever we're calling that.
I think they call it the portal.
The portal. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. We have an AD forum here that we reach out to each other for in New Jersey. So so email me. You can certainly call me as well. And so it's however you need to reach out.
All right. Sean Dowling, Certified Master Athletic Administrator. We're going to take a quick break again, talk to one of our sponsors, but we'll be back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. They are on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They provide a variety of interactive touchscreen video consoles, along with an extensive library of templates to make it easier than ever to recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. For ideas on how to showcase your school's diverse history, along with your proudest moments, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Or to learn more and get started with your own digital Wall of Fame tribute, call them at 614-981-3589, or you can email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. Welcome back to the Educational AD Podcast. Again, we're visiting with Sean Dowling, Certified Master Athletic Administrator and the Athletic Director at Monroe Township High School in New Jersey. Sean, you and I are of a similar age. I think I'm a little bit older than you, but I remember back in 100 years ago when I was in high school, it was very common for my coaches to say something like, come on, Jake, suck it up, or come on, Jake, you got to be tough. And I think over the years, we might have figured out some better ways to phrase that, but toughness is certainly an important part of athletics and of life. So my question is, how can we coach kids to be tough while also being aware of the social emotional challenges that a Generation Z kid is experiencing? Do you have any advice for us?
So you and I grew up in a different age for sure, different expectations and things that coaches did back then. We just don't do, we don't teach anymore. We don't encourage anymore. They might have worked for us, but again, kids are different. It's a different time. Teaching kids to be tough. A lot of that has to do with how they're brought up, and we have nothing to do with it, quite frankly. I'm a proponent of, you're either tough or you're not. Although, and the question would be, can we teach toughness, and how do we do that? I think a lot of that takes place in the off season. If we're, I think to our contact sports and physically tough versus mentally tough. I think, being in the weight room, preparing yourself for the upcoming season, creating situations where you're competing in the weight room as well with, or whether it be agility, strength training, some type of competition within those training sessions is certainly a positive when it comes to creating toughness. Setting your practice plan. Then when you get into the season, preseason, and then into your season, setting your practice plans to where your game situations, you're competing in practice, you are giving opportunities to fail. I mean, sports is one. Where else in sports can you put a plan together, have goals and objectives, make a plan together, implement that plan, fail at that plan, and then roll through it again, readjust, and get back after it the next day. That builds toughness, character. That's what businesses are looking for in their, not to get off to the side on a tangent, but I remember sitting next to a headhunter on a plane, and we got to chatting on what both of us has done. And she looks for student athletes in a lot of the jobs that she looks for placement in. And she looks for student athletes who are captains, who are leaders, okay, who have been there. And just what I said before, that are goal-oriented, can work with a team as a captain, can lead a team, can handle failure, okay, and then how you react, okay. Tim Kite's, E plus R equals O. Every event plus a reaction has an outcome, right? I think we use that a lot here at Monroe and try to work with our student athletes in that regard. So I think, putting them in situations in practice where the game isn't on the line prepares them for adversity. So when something does go wrong in a game, or they're up against it at the end of the game, they've got that toughness. Through that, there's mental toughness as well. And sometimes, you have all these wonderful athletes and you don't have to worry about their toughness physically. But how often have you seen a wonderful athlete? We've seen it already, and with on our national, international level, where they just can't perform, and they're like the best of the best. And for some reason, mentally, so again, preparing them to, I think the more that, you've heard it before. I'm thinking of John Calipari, who said, I heard say, you win or you learn. Okay. And I think learning how to prepare, how to handle adversity, if we can model that and somehow put that into our practice plans and our scrimmages and relate that to real life, I think that goes a long way with our student athletes. It's being intentional. Being intentional with what we do every day as we plan to prepare our student athletes for ultimately for their games. But again, education-based athletics. Okay, winning is a pleasant byproduct of what we're trying to teach, and we'll win. We want our varsity teams to win, okay, under the guise of education-based athletics. Listen, our opponents have to cooperate with winning, and we have to train to win. And I think we do a good job of that. Our coaches and our teams do a really good job of that at Monroe Township High School. And we're constantly talking and training and how can we do it better? And again, so for me, being tough, okay, and under the guise of education-based athletics can be done. But the days of, suck it up and, stop whining and things like that are, a lot of kids want to know why. Why are we doing this? So it's, it's a daunting task, but it's one that coaches today need to be up for that challenge.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I love the way you use those words. You practice, you plan, you train. You don't just say, be tough. As a coach, as a leader, you're going to show and teach them, coach them, how to be tough. Great stuff. Sean, this has been really cool catching up with you. I know we got a chance to talk a little bit in Denver, but always great to see you face to face, even if it is Zoom. But we're not done yet. We always like to wrap up with what we call the athletic director's toolbox. And in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to send out a brand new athletic director on the very first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 things in their toolbox. We're going to take a quick break.
Does this count?
Okay.
Does this count? By the way, a signed edition of this is a tremendous book. Thank you for doing this.
All right. For those of you not watching on YouTube, Sean just did me a big favor, held up my book, Athletic Director's Toolbox. We're going to take a quick break and hear from Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack, who sponsor the AD Toolbox section. But we are going to come back and Sean's going to share what's going to go in his toolbox. Please stay with us. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment of our podcast. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also connects you with the usual 95% of the parents and the student athletes who really love your program. And it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at athleticsurveys.com and info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to check the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Go to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack and let them show you how to take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back, everyone. Again, we've been visiting with Sean Dowling, a certified master athletic administrator and the director of athletics at Monroe Township High School in New Jersey. Sean, as I said, it's been great catching up with you, but now we want to find out what is going to go into your athletic director toolbox. What do you got for us?
Sure. So first, as a new AD, you got to get out of your office. You have to be there, you have to be visible, and you have to be there for all of the stakeholders that you serve. So be there, be visible, be out there for your student athletes at all your games and all your practices. Do your walkthroughs of practice. Observe, ask questions, talk to the athletes during a break, just how they're doing. Talk to your coaches. How did it go? Talk to your coaches about how they're doing outside of coaching. Get to know their families and how everything's going. Be there for them. I stand by parents. I say hello to parents. I sit there and, hey, got any questions for me? How is your son or daughter enjoying the experience? Be there for your coaches when a parent has a issue with the program at some point. I think just being out and being there and being available, it goes a long way. Having a presence. You are the leader of your athletic program. Have a presence as a leader and be available just to listen. Parents just want to vent sometimes, just listen. Sometimes when I get that email, the first thing I write back is I respond immediately with received. And then I send it back. And then maybe I'll digest this and we'll talk about it later. Don't leave any of those things to chance. So we also have afternoon announcements for everyone at school here in the background. I can't turn those off.
No worries.
So that's my first toolbox. Just be there for your coaches, be there in family celebrations, be there in tragedies, God forbid. Just be there for your coaches. Number two, start to establish your network, your go-to ADs right now. Who is that AD or ADs that are going to pick up the phone and answer the phone? Well, you're going to pick up the phone, call them, and they're actually going to answer. And then they're going to help you through things. I think, I talked about John DeCola, Bill Edelman, all my NJAC ADs. I can go on. There's so many to name. Bob Hopek, Bob Rossi, the NJSIAA is wonderful. They pick up the phone anytime I call for a question there. You need that support group. Sometimes it's not how do I do this, but I need to just, my head spinning. What are you doing in this situation? How do I handle this parent, that type of thing. I think that's, and a lot of my mentors, when I look back in New Jersey for sure, have all been athletic directors of the year. It just dumb luck for me. I mean, you're only as good as the people you're surrounded by. And for me, that must mean I'm pretty good, because I can call a lot of wonderful people on the state level. I can call people on the national level. I called you I think a month or two ago, to ask a couple of questions. It's just a wonderful network that it's taken me time to develop that network. But again, it's something that start right away locally within your conference and on the state level. It's invaluable to you. That would be number 2 in the toolbox. Number 3, start taking as many workshops and do professional development, and start taking your leadership training courses. They are professional development courses created by ADs, taught by ADs for athletic directors. And I am not an online learner. Okay, I took leadership training 502 online. It was fine. It was great. Okay, I think it's even better now than when I took it, because it's been modified. But to get in front, get in the room with people, go to your state workshops first and foremost. Go to a national. You won't want to miss one after that. Just take your leadership training courses, get towards your CAA. Then you can start working towards a CMAA. Some states require it. Some states, I understand there's some states you get an increase in a salary. In New Jersey, you have to have a principal certification or a supervisory certification. So CAA and CMAA are more professional development opportunities. So that, to me, is just continue to learn and grow in this profession. I do it. I just had a wonderful experience in Denver. And again, I can't get enough of these workshops and leadership training courses. So again, that's my third for the toolbox.
Great advice from a master athletic administrator. And hey, I'm going to put you on the spot. You need to bring me up to New Jersey, and I can help teach one of our new courses, the 716 course, partnering with parents. So you can add that one to your collection. Okay.
Our state committee, we're doing 503. I'm teaching it. We're teaching, Gary Stevens is coming, the great Gary Stevens coming to teach 631 event management, I believe that is. Mm-hmm. And then we have a rising star, Ryan Miller. He's going to be teaching 799 exemplary programs. Would love to see us do more. But again, in my role here, that's one of my roles here in the state, to start to offer leadership training courses around the state to our fellow athletic administrators.
All right. Well, maybe sometime down the road. Sean,
we're getting, Jake, we're coming. Just again, you may have to wear, a sweater or something up here. It's going to get a little cold up here. Maybe, I don't know if
I think we had a little internet connection there, but Sean was giving me a hard time about our Florida weather. I do own a parka, so if you invite me up, I will definitely be able to withstand the temperatures. Okay.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay. Sean Dowling, Certified Master Athletic Administrator. Again, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain, and if you're listening to Sean, you really should. He's a tremendous individual and would love to help you out. How can our listeners get a hold of you?
Sure, by email, first name dot last name. So it's SEAN.DOWLING at Monroe.K12.NJ.US. And I will get right back to you. If you email me with anything, and that's in our profession, we share. So we share everything. So, and then we adopt and we modify.
Adopt and modify. I will remember that. Sean Dowling, all the best for the rest of the spring season. And thanks for being on the Educational AD podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. This has been a wonderful time chatting with you.
For listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of these interviews are always uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back again next time for another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. And as always, we want to thank Hometown Ticketing for their support. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider for schools and colleges. You can learn more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you and your program by going to hometownticketing.com. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing.